Hi, Leanne. Hi, Leanne. Leanne, can you hear me?
Ready? What's the matter? Or whatever that was. Last Thursday, wasn't it? Like when they had the special council meeting?
I went downstairs today. I mean,
Hello, Council President.
Hello,
Chris, can you hear me?
I can hear you good. How's my audio sound?
Good, good.
Good? All right. Madam Clerk,
yes.
we can only let panelists into the room tonight.
When we go into executive session, right?
Well, just like you see how you see the screen? Is this set up so that way audience members will be in the audience and we'll only have participants on the,
No, we had to set it up as a meeting, which is different from what we usually do because we usually do the webinar, which only has the panelists.
so you could have like 40 people in this room tonight?
Yeah, and we're gonna have to remove them for the executive session.
Okay,
So they'll go into a waiting room.
okay. Thank you.
Yes, so we'll have to just double check the names that remain, just double check that they're the appropriate people.
Yeah, I just get concerned with the audio with mute, making sure that everybody's on mute that needs to be on mute.
Right.
I think I see a familiar face there. Let's see. Solicitor Angel, how are you?
I'm well. Mr. Videcchia is going to be late in joining us, so
Okay.
we won't be waiting for him. Mr. DeMeo, how are you?
Good news, sir.
You looking dapper this evening?
I try. How you been?
You're You're a comedian, huh?
I see former Council Vice President Richard Santa Maria on the call this evening. Oh, I think we lost him. I was gonna say hi.
You scared him away.
I guess so. And Mr. Angel, this meeting set up a little different tonight. Everybody's gonna be a panelist.
Oh, I see.
So it might get a little confusing to see hands up for a few minutes here till we get our bearings straight.
Okay.
Councilman Ferry, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. How you doing there, Council President?
Very, very well, sir. Thank you.
Hello, Councilman Ferry.
What's up, Mr. DeMayo?
Everyone.
Hello, Councilman.
President Paplaskas?
Hello.
Hi, it's Liz Larkin. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. For some reason, I can't raise my hand to speak because I think I have to update my Zoom.
Okay, what matter are you going to speak on tonight? And I'll make sure that you look.
I'm going to speak on the resolution for the charter moratorium.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll just give a couple of more minutes, and then we'll get going, everybody.
Bob Strom.
Joined the meeting.
John Verdecchio.
Joined the meeting.
Madam Clerk, are you all set to begin?
Yes. Rose, you're all set, correct?
Ron, are you good?
I'm good, thank you.
We have Solicitor Verdecchio on the call now.
Yes, he is.
I am present.
Okay. All right. I would like to call the Monday, February 22nd, Cranston City Council meeting to order. Clerk.
Joined the meeting.
Councilwoman Marino,
Present.
Councilman Ferry,
Present.
Councilman Renzulli,
Present.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Present.
Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Councilman Riley,
Present.
Council Vice President Brady,
Present.
Council President Paplaskas.
Present. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February Cranston City Council meeting. Couple of things tonight. This agenda looks a little different, so we need to do a little housekeeping before we begin. The first thing we need to do is take a motion to accept acknowledgement and approval of the new meeting agenda and docket format for this evening. This is structured to better conform with state law and to make work a little bit better for the council. So I like to have a motion for acknowledgement and approval of new meeting agenda and docket format and order.
Council President, I move to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Thank you. Moving on to the second item for housekeeping, a nullification of committee action votes. A vote needs to be taken to nullify the actions and votes of the following committees, which met on February 11th, 2021 at 5:30, 6 and 6:30 PM respectively, in which committee items before these committees are set forth below. The reason for this is we had some Zoom access issues, and we need to take this vote this evening. But we need to take one item, I believe, out of order. Solicitor Angel, do you have anything to add on that before we entertain?
So what I would do, Mr. President, is I would take separate motions to nullify the actions and votes of each committee, one being claims, one being public works, and the other being ordinance. Take a separate vote for each of the committees.
Okay, thank you, Solicitor Angel. So I will entertain a motion to nullify the actions and votes of the Claims Committee meeting from February 11th, 2021.
Council President, I move to approve.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the Public Works Committee. I will entertain a motion to nullify the actions and votes of the Public Works Committee that was scheduled for 6 PM on February 11th, minus the National Grid pole location for Natick Avenue. We have a recusal on that, so we're going to vote on that separately. So I'll entertain a motion for the Public Works Committee meeting scheduled for 6 PM minus the item for the National Grid pole location on Natick Ave.
Council President, I move to nullify.
Do we have a
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes,
Through the chair,
yes.
yes, Council President, if the record could show that I'm here, please.
Let the record show Councilmember Vargas is present. Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, I will entertain a motion to nullify the action in the vote taking for the National Grid pole location on Natick Avenue at the Public Works Committee at 6 PM.
Noting, of course, Mr. President, Ms. Marino's recusal on that item for the record.
Thank you, Solicitor. And for the record, Councilmember Marino is recusing on that item.
Council President, I move to nullify.
Second.
A motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, thank you. Last item for housekeeping, we need a motion to nullify the actions and votes taken for the Ordinance Committee meeting on February 11th at 6:30 PM. I'll entertain a motion.
Council President, I move to nullify.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, thank you, council. For the record, all the items that were nullified will be heard at the next regular committee meetings set forth next month. moving on. I have a request because of this meeting set up a little different where everybody's kind of in the same room. If you're not a council member or called on to speak, if you could mute your mic, it will just make things a little bit easier for everybody to hear. And if you're on a telephone, if you know how to mute it, I'm not sure if how to give you that direction, but if you can mute while you're not talking, that would be great. Okay, moving on the docket, I would like to entertain a motion to move public comment from item number 4 till now, so we can open up public comment for docketed items.
As-
So moved.
Point of order, Mr. President, if you just simply take a motion to take the agenda out of order, that will allow the public to comment as you wish them to do so.
I'd like to have a motion to take the agenda out of order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Kaplan.
Yes. Thank you very much. At this point, I will open up the floor for comment from the public on docketed items, not new business, just docketed items. If you can unmute yourself and go one at a time. I know it's going to be difficult with so many people in the room. I see the school superintendent has her hand up, so I will open the floor up to her first. Janine?
Good evening, everybody. First, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. And like a good student, I raised my hand, so that's how we roll in Cranston. I just want to speak in favor of Councilman Donegan's resolution regarding a moratorium at the state level for expansion of charter schools. Over the past decade or so, we have seen an expansion of the charter school movement in Rhode Island. And while I perfectly understand and appreciate why charter schools are valuable and wonderful opportunities for students across the state, I think right now, due to the economic uncertainty we have as a result of the pandemic, as well as I'm concerned that we're flooding the market, so to speak, with charter schools throughout the state. And while, again, I need to stress that for some students, these are the best and most valuable options for their educational choices. I do support Councilman Donegan's resolution to just put a hold on them for a couple of years in the state until we get a really clear understanding of the economic impact on the pandemic for the state budget and, as a result, our school budgets. We are currently facing an over $3 million budget ask in our own school budget. The state is having difficulties giving us what we feel would be adequate funding for next year. And I just think at this point, having more students potentially leave Cranston and cost the district more money at this point would be very detrimental. Again, I understand that for some students, they are the right choice. And we do have students from Cranston who go to charter schools, but I think an expansion at this point would really be detrimental to our programming here in Cranston. So I support Councilman Donegan, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Superintendent. Just a little bit more housekeeping. If you can try to limit your comments to 4 minutes and state your name and address for the record, please. Next, I'd like to call upon Elizabeth Larkin.
Thank you very much. My name is Elizabeth Larkin, and I am president of the Cranston Teachers Alliance, and I'm also a very proud social studies teacher from Parkview Middle School. I would like to speak in support of Councilman Donegan's and Councilwoman Marino's resolution to urge the General Assembly to pass House Bill 5193 and Senate S0013, placing a moratorium on charter schools expansion. Charter schools originally were developed as innovative classrooms offering unique learning situations for some students, and that they did. As a matter of fact, the American Federation of Teachers decades ago were in support of these specialty schools and actually opened some in communities. An example of this is our unique collaborative construction academy. That is a charter school, and in their origins, they were never meant to drain funding from the district public schools to run schools that create a parallel school system. To ask Cranston Public Schools, who, mind you, went under the most stressful times, has always tried to maintain excellence. We have offered many opportunities to our students in academics, programs, and opportunities in the arts, theater, sports. Our faculty and staff partake in hundreds of hours of professional development created and provided by highly trained presenters that are our own employees. We have spent years preparing to upgrade and rebuild schools and to upgrade and repair others. We have worked very hard to offer the best education we can during these strenuous times of COVID-19 pandemic. Going forward, we will need every cent that we receive and that we can get to keep for the demands of our instruction and our safety protocols going forward, for the COVID-19 will be with us for a while. We will also need funding for our students for their socio-emotional welfare and wellness and programs to support such. We also will need the funding that will require us to be adequately funded, and the expectation that we must siphon off over $3.2 million out of our operation budget is egregious and inequitable to our 10,000 plus students who attend Cranston Public Schools. I thank you for your time, and I urge you to support this resolution and make your voices heard along with ours to the General Assembly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, I call upon Susan Kelly.
Thank you so much for letting me speak in support of John Donegan's and Jessica Marino's resolution to postpone the expansion of charter schools. I'm relatively new to Cranston, but I feel very strongly about charter schools. I'd like to disagree some with previous speakers. Charter schools were originally formed during the 1960s, late 50s, to fight integration. They are generally corporate run. Generally, they do not have as qualified teachers as they do in public schools. But more than that, for me, public schools are a cornerstone of democracy. And if we want students to have choice, I would say first, fund public schools, fully fund them to the level they're supposed to be, then talk about funding other arms of education. I simply do not agree with siphoning money off of public education, which is open to all students, for entities that are often not open to all students, or do not do as good a job of teaching, or are able to practice a different kind of education without the degree of regulation that public schools are subject to. Thank you for letting me address this.
Thank you. Next, I call upon Christina Contreras-Fox.
Hello and good evening. My name is Christina Contreras-Fox. My pronouns are she, her, and they, and I am the Senior Policy Analyst at the Rhode Island Coalition for the Home. I'm here tonight to speak in support of Councilman Donegan and Councilwoman Vargas's resolution urging the General Assembly to pass H5257 S0121, which would ban discrimination based on lawful source of income in housing statewide. Now, this is a matter that I've come to the City Council before and on many occasions. There's been a lot of excellent discussion, and I thank you all very much for all of your consideration and important questions. And I hope that tonight you will take action in calling for there to be action taken at the statewide level. So I won't reiterate why the coalition supports ending discrimination in housing based on lawful source of income too much, but as a reminder, we support SOI discrimination is a barrier that literally traps people in homelessness. It's a simple poisonous concept. A landlord who engages in this kind of perfectly legal discrimination is essentially saying, yes, you have the income to afford this apartment. Yes, everything else is in order. Yes, your income is lawful, but I don't like what your income is, so I'm not going to rent to you. That presents a barrier that no amount of work or self-advocacy can ever overcome. And in a time when more Rhode Islanders than ever are losing traditional jobs, traditional sources of income, and relying on alternate sources of income, this is a step forward to make things more equal and equitable in a time where it's most needed. So I hope that you will pass this resolution tonight. Like I said, this is an important step forward in ending and preventing homelessness in our state. We have to address, as much as we need to increase the supply of safe, healthy, and affordable homes in Rhode Island, we also need to be removing barriers to housing. Excuse me, and this is one of those important steps. So thank you very much again for your consideration, and I urge you to vote yes on this resolution.
Thank you very much. Okay, I see another hand up. I believe it's Suzanne Arena.
There we go. Hi, thank you for taking my call. So I like the idea of just doing it for 2 years for the moratorium. I am, however, in support of charter schools. As you probably all know, I work on dyslexia, and the majority of the people that we hear from are parents who would prefer to put their children who are disabled with a disability like dyslexia, autism, ADHD, and the many other isms or the other things for trying to decipher are do better in schools that are charter schools, because it also offers them access to the arts, music, things that they are denied in public school because they're so busy doing remedial classes when the schools have let them fail so badly. So from my perspective and the parents that I work with the community, we would love to see a school for dyslexia as a charter school, which they're opening up across the country. I'm not ready yet with the data because that's what I'm collecting. I don't think any school should open until they're fully equipped with serving the community, but it would open it up to more kids. So I'm for schools that are able to give children more of what they specifically need. So if they have, I'll give you an example. If I had a parent that went to Cranston and just said, hey, my kid, I had an outside eval. I want, this kid is supposed to get certain types of methods the way they're taught. What they would end up saying is, well, we need to do our own, and it goes back and forth. If you're going to a charter school, these dyslexic charter schools, they actually look at children who have the diagnosis and work with them. The problem is it's a lottery. So I think for right now, keep the money in the schools, and the moratorium is a good idea until we're gathering information so we can hopefully open up one here in Rhode Island. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand if you have that ability. We still have public comment open for docketed items. Is there anybody else that would like to comment?
Council President Paplowskis, I don't know if you're seeing my hand raised.
I do, Annette. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Annette Bourne, 51 Community Drive. Good evening, and thank you to the members of the City Council for allowing me the opportunity to publicly address my support of the resolution urging the General Assembly to pass H5257 and S0121 to end the source of income discrimination, sponsored by Council members Donegan and Vargas. Having spoken at several meetings now in support of local passage of protections for source of income, I will not take much of your time. When the issue was discussed locally by our Ordinance Committee and City Council over the last several months, those leaders who expressed concern seemed to indicate that they felt the issue was best handled at the state level. Being among a group of housing advocates who have sought this protection at the state level for several years now, we are grateful for those local elected officials who are willing to signal their support to our state leaders. Your support of this resolution tonight would not only allow state leaders to move forward with more confidence, but is also a sign to all those who find themselves facing housing discrimination due to their source of income that they are welcomed here in Cranston. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We still have public comment open for docketed items. I see Gretchen Bingle.
I don't have a docketed item, so I'll wait until you're done with that.
Okay, we're going to have public comment again a little bit down the docket for undocketed items for any matter. So
Has been my question, and I didn't understand from the way the docket was written. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, anybody else for a docketed matter? Going once. Going twice. Okay, I will close public comment on docketed items. Thank you to all who logged into the meeting and taken the time to speak. Moving on to public acknowledgements and commendations. We do not have any this evening. Moving on to resolutions. First up is a resolution recognizing March as Women's History Month, sponsored by Councilwoman Renzulli, Marino, Germain, and Vargas. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion to approve in a second. Under discussion, Councilmember Marino or Councilmember Renzulli, did you want to go first?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Women's History Month is a celebration of women's contributions to history, culture, and society, and it's been observed annually in the month of March in the United States since 1987. Nationally, Women's History Month 2021 will be celebrated Monday, March 1st through Wednesday, March 31st, 2021. And I wanted to mirror that with this resolution for the city of Cranston. In preparing this resolution, I ended up taking on a small research project that I will continue to work on with the help of Registrar Nick Lima and Dan Kittredge of the Cranston Herald. And I have been learning that many of the women elected to Cranston City Council have been trailblazers, and this information has been inspiring. And I do want to share it with the help of my fellow councilwomen as well, with the women and girls in our community, and make this information known. So preliminary research shows that Corinne P. Grand was the first woman elected to Cranston City Council in 1968. Today, with 4 women on our city council, we have what is believed to be the most women serving concurrently at any time in the city's history. And I'm personally so excited and proud to be part of this historical council. While we may not sit on the same side of the aisle politically, Cranston's sitting city council women have a good deal in common. Each of us are the daughters of immigrant working families and mothers of multiple children, ranging from preschool all the way through high school. And all of our children do attend our Cranston public schools. I personally have a vision of us working together to keep Cranston a great place for working families to live. We plan to work together to fill the calendar for the month of March with events celebrating women's contributions to history, as well as encouraging and empowering Cranston's young girls. I will let Councilwoman Jermaine speak more about one such event that we will all be participating in conjunction with International Women's Day on March 8th. I want to thank my fellow councilwomen, Councilwoman Lamas Vargas, Councilwoman Anise Germain, and Councilwoman Jessica Marino for co-sponsoring this resolution recognizing March as Women's History Month in the city of Cranston. And I want to give each of them an opportunity to speak as well. And I urge the entire council to vote for this passage of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Renzulli. Any other council members like to speak?
Yes.
Councilmember Jermaine.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Council Winsley, for initiating this resolution. And I have to mention, as a leader in other hat I've been celebrating International Women's Day. So that's why I would like to propose an amendment to add one more paragraph in the resolution, because as you just mentioned, International Women's Day celebrate in March 8th in worldwide. So it is that was a resolution that was taken by the United Nations, and it's celebrated everywhere in the world. And that's why here, since I moved here, I celebrate International Women's Day every year with our organization. So I would like to add, whereas March 8th is proclaimed as International Women's Day by the United Nations, purposefully to celebrate women's achievement and reflect on issues faced by women worldwide. So that's really the purpose of International Women's Day. So I don't know if you agree with me. I would like to add that. I mean, the resolution, we can add it in line after line 38.
Thank you, Councilmember Jermaine. That's in a form of a motion. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Okay, under discussion on the amendment. There being none, clerk, please take the roll on the amendment.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Now back to discussion to the resolution as amended. Any council members would like to speak?
I would like, if there's no.
Councilmember
Right.
Jermaine, you can finish your
I
thoughts.
can finish? Okay,
Absolutely.
Thank you. Council Winsley talk about the first step we will take to celebrate. And I have to say, I'm honored to work with all of us, you. Even you are not a woman, okay? This is historical to celebrate in our city. So on March 8th, as I mentioned earlier, we always organize International Women's Day, not only to celebrate, to honor women, but to also reflect on many issues that women face. As we know, this pandemic has, as mentioned, Council Winsley, how we are the backbone. We have children, 5 years old, 10 years old, 18 years old, and we are committed to do this work. And there's so many women out there that doing tremendous work, and we don't even know. So it's a moment to really celebrate, highlight the work of those women that are on the shadow. So on March 8th, unfortunately this year, we cannot do it in person. It's virtual, so I would invite everyone to attend. We will post something. We have 4 women, the council, women, and our organization, one Hope and Change for Haiti, that will celebrate women on March 8th. So we will have more information coming, and that's this year. The theme for International Women's Day is choose to challenge. So it's a moment how you can reflect, even though you are not a woman, you choose to challenge something. We are in a pandemic. We know how we see inequalities, how we see inequitable thing happen, how a lot of people have been impacted, business world, you see. So what do you choose to challenge in this year to celebrate with women? And I will follow up with you all on the logistic of the celebration. So I hear you back. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jermaine. Councilmember Vargas, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Echoing what Councilwoman Rizzoli and Councilwoman Jermaine has recently just mentioned, right? National Women's History Month in March. Annually, we encourage, celebrate, recognize all the women who have come before us and have, fought for equality among all races and genders. I think that if none of you have ever taken the time to learn about Women's History Month and its meaning, I really urge you to take a leap and really, take a look into it and understand and appreciate the strength and the determination of women across the country over hundreds of years. I want to thank all the women who are educators, women in public service, elected officials, women in police and fire and all other public service capacities, as well as entrepreneur and business owners and women in science, technology, medicine students, and obviously in the arts. There are 4 of us, there's 4 women of us on the council. I myself am honored to work with all of you. We all bring different perspective, different dynamics, different knowledge. We all have a great background that makes us who we are and a great asset to the Cranston City Council and to our city. And this is a step in the right direction of having more women stepping into the public service roles as elected officials, where we multitask our daily lives for the greater good of a community. It's certainly not easy for us. It's not easy for anyone, whether it's women or not. But I'd like to, again, take this time to urge the council colleagues for passage and recognizing March as Women's History Month. So thank you for the time, and thank you so much for all the other colleagues of mine who were sponsored of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Marino.
Thank you, Council President. I want to say that it's nice to celebrate history. It's nice to reflect on it. And it's nice that we're all making history together. It is very nice that we have 4 women for the first time on the city council, and the fact that we got here because the people of this great city all decided to put us here. It's a tribute to our city as a whole. And I'll keep my comments brief tonight. I echo the sentiments of my fellow councilwomen. Thank you for working together to celebrate this, and let's continue to not just celebrate history, but make history and blaze a trail together, regardless of party. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other council members? Council Vice President Brady.
Thank you, Council President. I want to start off by saying I'm very proud to serve with all 4 women here that were elected in this past election cycle, and this is a historic moment. When I was appointed to this council, I was one of 9 white men. This has been my 3rd term, and to see the diversity of different, unique and different backgrounds, basically showcasing all of Cranston and being able to represent our entire city for so many different reasons. I'm excited to continue to serve with people from different backgrounds, with different experiences, with different voices. And even though we don't all always agree, the testimony that we have every day, whether or not we agree or disagree, always makes me stronger because I'm always listening. And just in the few months that we've already served together, I can tell you that I've already learned a great deal about each and every one of you, and you continue to make me stronger as a leader. And I truly appreciate that. I remember making a phone call to Councilmember Vargas after, that we appointed the judges, and she was, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying, but she was in tears, and she was looking at her daughter, and her daughter was looking up at her proud. I remember talking to Councilwoman Renzulli, and she told me when she was talking to her children, and she asked them what they want to do when they grow up, and they said, "Mommy, I want to be a councilwoman." I mean, these are the types of moments that make me proud to be a council member and serve on this body with all of you. So I celebrate this historic night and this historic month coming up. I look forward to attending the events that the four of you have planned, and I proudly will support this resolution tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Any other discussion from council members? Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you, Council President. Just to echo Councilman Brady and what everyone has already said, it truly is an honor to serve with the four of you, and I'm here to stand behind you and support you in any way we can. And each of you are tremendous individuals, and I know the force that the four of you are going to be together over the next term is going to be something remarkable to watch. And I'm fortunate to be able to be here and serve with you, and thank you all for your service to the city.
Thank you, council member. Any other council members? There being none, I'll just close by echoing the statements that all of my colleagues made tonight. I mean, it's an honor and a privilege to absolutely serve with four women on this council, along with everybody, but to celebrate Women's History Month, and the four of you are trailblazers. I wrote something down that Councilmember Marino said that stuck with me. Making history together. The four of you are making history together, and it's phenomenal. Not to repeat everything that everybody had said tonight, but thank you so much, Councilmember Renzulli and all the co-sponsors, for bringing this resolution forward. And I will absolutely be supporting it tonight. Any other discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, resolution passes. Moving on, we have a resolution urging the General Assembly to pass H 5257 and S 0121 to end source of income discrimination, sponsored by Council members Donegan and Vargas. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion. We have a motion to approve and a second. And I see Councilmember Donegan, and then to Councilmember Vargas.
Thank you, Council President. Like some of the members of the public, I'm not going to go on about this. We discussed this at tremendous length last term. We passed an ordinance last term to this effect, prohibiting source of income discrimination in our city. Obviously, that was vetoed, and we didn't have the votes to override that, and it didn't become law. But in doing so, we did join a growing group of municipalities, states, Barrington, Providence just last week, neighbors throughout New England and throughout the rest of the country have already taken this action. And as Christina stated earlier, this is, we're all aware of the housing affordability issue that's occurring throughout our state and in Cranston, where in our city, 30% of homeowners are cost burdened, 50% of renters are cost burdened, and half of the people that I represent are cost burdened in the census tracts here in Ward 3. It's important to not only invest in affordable housing, safe housing, but also to remove existing barriers to people accessing safe and affordable housing. And this legislation will do that. And so I'm hopeful tonight that we can send a message to our General Assembly that Cranston supports this. We support removing barriers to housing for people that need it. And I think we all know people need it more than ever right now. So I urge you all to support this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Donegan. Councilmember Vargas.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Echoing what Councilmember Donegan just mentioned, again, the passage of this resolution is extremely important for many in our entire state. And obviously we discussed this at some point. And as Councilman Donegan mentioned, it was vetoed, it didn't pass. And so at one point it was, I don't think that this is really whether this is the time or not. And if we're all having thoughts or have had discussions whether or not that this should be a state issue and let it pass on the state side, well, I highly encourage everyone this evening, even those that are on the call on other unrelated matters to this, to also really do their research and check this out, because there are a lot of families here in Cranston that are a lot of students with families who have supplemental income. And so the passage of H5257 and S121 is really to allow many families, individuals, whether they're veterans, whether they are on Social Security disability, any other supplemental income, to allow them not to be discriminated against when it comes down to looking for a place to lay their head at night for their family. So again, I just want to encourage everyone that's on the call to really take a look at this bill, because again, it's really asking for a huge push on making sure that there's no discrimination on the source of income bill. And as we have so many educators on the call, there could potentially be a lot of students whose family could be impacted by something like this. And so this bill really, what it does is allows that there is no discrimination taking place into that regard. So having said that, and having said what I've said within the last months and publicly telling everyone how I feel, I encourage and urge everyone on the council to pass or vote in favor of this resolution. Asking the General Assembly legislators to hear this bill, to pass it to committee, and send it out for a full vote and vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. Any other comment from council members? Council Member Jermaine.
Thank you, President. I just echo my fellow Council Donegan and Vargas. So we know we have a lengthy debate on this resolution ordinance last term, and one of the topic that came up is we need more time, and also is not within our jurisdiction to take action. And I think now it's time, as we urge the General Assembly to take action. And we know it, all of us, we know how it is detrimental for someone to be denied housing because of the source of the income. And taking this steps to encourage them, it's something that is not asking for a lot. That's not a lot. It's the right thing to do, to make sure we, as a community, none of us left behind. None of us is being discriminated. So that's what we are doing. And I urge you, please, to support this resolution tonight, and to do our part for our people. That's what it is. Do our part. And Council Donegan, I'm sorry, I want to be co-sponsor as well for the ordinance resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jermaine. Council Vice President Brady.
Thank you, Council President. First off, I want to thank the sponsors, Councilman Donegan and Councilman Vargas, for bringing up this important topic again. We obviously did discuss it at length at the end of our last term. And, just to go back, I did abstain on that vote. And I abstained not because I didn't agree with the intent of the ordinance, but more so that I wanted to amend some of the language. Obviously, we didn't have the opportunity to do that, being our last council meeting for that term with our old body. But I'm very happy to be discussing it tonight. This resolution urging the General Assembly to pass H5257 and S0121 to end source of income discrimination. I did discuss abstaining at that meeting, but I will be proudly supporting this resolution tonight. And, I want to continue to work with my colleagues on this initiative. So that's all I have on the matter, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you. I realize that not everyone on the call attended all those meetings. So just quickly for people in attendance tonight, what this is, the legislation is currently under state law. If you are a veteran that uses a cash benefit, if you rely on SSDI, if you have a housing choice voucher, if you go to seek housing, you're a renter, a prospective tenant, the property owner, the landlord, they can decline you and turn you away simply because of where your money comes from. And that's the general emphasis for the crux of this legislation is to prohibit that. So you can't be turned away simply because you would be paying for, a certain percentage of your monthly rent with, a rental assistance program or a housing choice voucher or some sort of disability benefit, et cetera, as long as it's a lawful source of income. So for everyone out there, I hope that adds a little bit of context to what the legislation is.
Thank you, Councilmember Donegan. Councilmember Riley.
Thank you, Council President. So I just wanted to give my thoughts on this. I know this was a very highly debated topic last term with the council in the form of an ordinance, which I know, as you guys mentioned, there was some discussion about it being not the proper venue and having to be discussed at the state level, which it now is being discussed at. Basically, my understanding of this purpose is to bar landlords and property owners from being able to base tenant selection on an applicant's form of income. Now, unlike other characteristics that discrimination is based upon, different sources of income do have different levels of risk inherently attached to it. So, for example, there's an income that's derived from child support is certainly riskier than income derived from a salaried employee. Likewise, income derived from a commission-based employee is also far riskier than an hourly wage earner, for example. So if this bill were to pass, the landlord would be barred from being able to make such a risk analysis in his business of who to rent to. So this differs from actual discrimination that's based on race, national origin, which don't have different levels of risk, and they're actual immutable characteristics that cannot be changed. Similarly, with respect to vouchers or Section 8, which I agree have no risk involved in them, these vouchers are tied with certain inspections and housing criteria that go beyond minimum housing standards. So under this bill, a landlord would be mandated to enter into these programs and make any and all improvements to their units that are deemed necessary by the program administrator. So as a result of this, we're going to need more inspectors to have to go out and inspect these properties and enforce these standards. And also, Section 8 does not necessarily pay what the market pays for rent. So in certain circumstances, the Section 8 pays less than what he or she as a landlord could go get in the open market. But admittedly, in other circumstances, Section 8 pays more. So this decision needs to be left to the individual person whose property they're dealing with. Again, this differs from actual discrimination of choosing a tenant based on race or national origin, because in these cases, we're not creating further obligations for the landlord or costs to that landlord. So I unfortunately don't support this bill. It attempts to erode a person's property rights and have the government telling them what to do with their property. I absolutely respect everyone's opinion. This is just my own. And for that reason, I wouldn't be able to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Riley. Any other discussion from council members? Councilmember Vargas, I see your hand up. Is that from before, or did you want to speak again?
Oh, I did not lower my hand, so my apologies on that.
No problem, just didn't want to miss you. Any other comments from the council members? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
No.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Resolution passes. Moving on to a resolution urging the General Assembly to pass H 5193 and S 0013, placing a moratorium on charter school expansion, sponsored by Councilman Donegan and Councilwoman Marino. And I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve and a second. Under discussion? Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you, Council President. Like the previous resolution, I think this is fairly straightforward. It's in support of legislation at the state level to place a moratorium on charter expansion or creation of new charters. And the emphasis for me is simply looking at the financial situation that the state and the city could potentially be in or is in, and making sure that our Cranston public school system is adequately funded. And the expansion or creation of new charters will unequivocally take resources out of the Cranston public school system. So I think putting a 3-year moratorium on the expansion or creation of new charters will allow us to get through the current times, and also give the General Assembly the opportunity to take a look and reevaluate the state education formula. So, and to see what the greater impacts of that is going to be. So again, I urge everyone tonight to support this. I believe this is in the best interest of our Cranston Public Schools and all the teachers and students and professionals that are a part of that community.
Thank you, Councilmember Donegan. Any other comments from council members? Councilmember Marino.
Thank you. I would hope that our fellow council members will also vote in support of this resolution this evening. This is not about charter versus public. This is about first and foremost fiscal responsibility. It is unwise for us as a state to invest this kind of money in expanding charter schools at the cost of taking it away from public schools without doing our homework first. We should, start new habits of taking the time to really do our homework to see where this money should be invested and how this money should be invested. If we don't encourage, the House to support this resolution, it's going to cost us money in the end. We are in times where we are short on funding, and we really need to reevaluate the distribution. This is for the benefit of all of our children, for the children that need the benefits of charter schools and need the benefits of public schools. It's not a one size fits all, but we need to take the time to re-examine it, make sure that it's being invested properly. It's not going to cost us any money to take the time to do our homework and get this straight first, especially right now where we know that we are short on a statewide basis and a local basis with respect to funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Marino. Any other discussion from council members?
Yes.
Councilmember Jermaine.
Thank you, Council President. There's one thing I would like to mention, because it's easy for parents or teachers or everyone to say, we need to have choices. And I used to think that way, and I still believe we need choices. But is this choice is taking away what public schools do not even have to satisfy one side? Is that the right thing to do? That's the question I ask myself. So we know we have problem in public schools, and we know we always underfunded. And at the same time, we are underfunded. We cannot afford the resources necessary to serve the vast majority. And what we have, we need to share it. So there is something inequitable that is happening. And for too long, we close our eyes to it because some of us being satisfied. But it doesn't have to be that way. Just one part of us being satisfied and one part is not. So that's why I do some research. Look, it's not, as Council Marino said, it's not charter school versus public school. It's not about like or dislike charter school. It's about doing the right thing. How equitable we want to take our action to serve our students, our teachers. So for me, to put a moratorium on charter school is the right thing to do right now. And that's why I fully support this resolution. And I hope all of you vote yes on this resolution for our children. Because imagine how you have two students live next door. One have a chance to have art, music, all those extracurricular, and the other one do not have this opportunity. They are in the same neighborhood. You set both of them for different paths in life. The one who have more resources, you know it, you set the path for success for him. And the one who do not. And this is not the way I think we all want to do business. To create, to perpetuate a system that perpetuating hereditary inequities. So we need to redo how we do things, to rethink how we do things. And my hope is, as we are looking into how we can fund our public school properly, not left over. So all the cut has to be in the public school funding, and everything else that have to cut. But now taking this action to make for this moratorium is the right thing to do. And I hope that you all will be in support of this resolution. And thank you, Council. I hear you back.
Thank you, Councilmember Jermaine. Council Vice President Brady.
Thank you, Council President. First, want to start off by thanking the sponsors, and also want to thank Councilmember Jermaine for that testimony. That was pretty powerful. I also want to thank our superintendent, Miss Nona Massey, for coming on and speaking tonight and answering my calls over the last couple of weeks. Susan Marina, Susan Kelly, and Liz Locken also for speaking tonight. You know, I called Councilman Donegan earlier tonight to ask him a question, which I've asked to numerous people on the state level, which I still haven't been able to get answered. Why is it the arbitrary 3 years? Why not just discuss it for this year? That's a question I can't really seem to get answered. And I'm not really comfortable with the answer that I've received, which is nothing. So, that would be a great answer to get from the state. Because I think looking at models like Blackstone Valley Prep, which launched in 2009 and had 9 teachers, 2 full-time staffers, 76 kindergartners. Now today has 2,100 students, 300 teachers, and leaders and staff from across 6 different schools. I agree that we need to do our best to fully fund our public schools, but I also believe in charter schools. So as we continue to look at funding, in this funding formula, which I don't know if you've all read this fun book, but it's pretty fun. It's 11 years old, and obviously I want to ask Ride, why is this formula 11 years old? Why, it's past due. Why can't we continue to look at it, as we can't fully fund our schools in this tough budget year due to small businesses being crippled due to declining revenues? I mean, we all know what's ahead of us in front of this budget season and how difficult it's going to be. So that's what makes this a tough vote. Meanwhile, we went from having assessed values of our homes here in Cranston from 7.3 billion to actually being increased to 7.4 billion, which obviously will affect our funding formula. Our poverty standard improved compared to the rest of the state, which is obviously also going to affect how much funding we get for our schools. In addition to that, looking at, we have to look at additional ways to, as discussed previously on this call, affordable and subsidized housing throughout Cranston, because that will help our educational aid here in Cranston. Representative Baginski was kind enough to speak with me on numerous occasions this week, in addition to Councilmember Jermaine, on different discussions. And a question that continued to come up was, well, what could be a more accurate metric to suggest aid and how we particularly collect it between our cities and towns here throughout the state? So, as Congress hopefully passes this emergency COVID stimulus appreciation bill and $500 million hopefully becomes a race in our cities and towns and our state, no longer at a deficit. Hopefully we can fully fund both our charter schools and our public schools. But this is definitely a difficult vote, and I'm not particularly fond of the 3 years, but I do believe our schools here in Cranston have to be funded, and I do believe this has to be discussed at a state level. So I will be voting yes tonight based on that information. So thank you all for your testimony, for your sponsorship, and for your discussion. I'm also looking forward to having a joint meeting with our school committee and our city council to understand this funding formula more, so we can all continue to advocate for additional funding for the future for our children here in Cranston.
Thank you, Vice President Brady. Councilmember Riley.
Thank you, Council President. So like Councilman Brady said, this is, a tough issue. It is, on the one hand, it's a very extreme issue. People either think that charter schools are the worst or that they're the best. And the truth usually lies somewhere in the middle. They disproportionately affect the environments that they're in. So in inner cities, they can be more effective than they can be in a suburb or a rural community, is what I'm learning from researching these and doing my homework. I also have some questions about why the arbitrary 3-year number is there. I've spoken to certain people on both sides of the aisle at the state legislature to kind of get their background on it. And I believe that they're looking to lower it to possibly 1 year, which I think makes a little more sense. I think that it causes more, it's going to be helpful to breed immediate action. If we put a 3-year moratorium, with the way things work at the state level, it's just grass is going to grow under people's feet, and people are going to become complacent and not attack the issue. Because whether you're on the pro or con side of charter schools, there is reform that's needed. And that reform is in the form of this funding formula, which too many dollars are following, quote unquote, the student, and it's hurting our public schools. So here in Cranston, we have great schools, and for people that make the choice to send them to charter schools, a lot of money is following them, and it's killing our schools. So we need to be cognizant of that. I don't know that a moratorium is necessary to make these hard changes rather than putting people in a room, sitting down and making hard decisions. But a moratorium, it certainly can't hurt. It's just a matter of, are we going to build new schools or not? So whether it's 1 year or 3 years, my main focus here is that reform is necessary. And if this is how we're going to get there, then I'm going to support that. I think we're kind of jumping the gun a little here by just immediately in one night voting for a 3-year moratorium, where the state legislatures have months to sit down, study these issues, debate these issues, and discuss these issues, where we are just doing it quickly. And though I do support this, and I am going to support my fellow council members here, I do wish that we would hold off and see what comes from the state legislature, a little more information, and then perhaps vote for it next month. But it's on the docket. I believe that charter schools do need reform, and therefore I am going to vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Riley. Councilmember Vargas, did you have your hand up next?
I did.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. You know, here's another, you know, resolution, right? Where, again, you know, I'd like to first and foremost actually start off with saying, thank you to all of our educators, whether they are in the charter school, in the non-traditional public school, otherwise known as charter school, and in the traditional public schools. You know, I'm a mother of 2. They both attend the public school system. We have great educators. We have, I think, great programs here in Cranston. You know, but I also feel, you know, is there room for improvement in our public school system here in the city of Cranston? There is, but there's also room for improvement throughout all cities and towns, and with everything, there's always room for improvement. And so, you know, a lot of this focus, I think, really pertains to not policy, but more obviously financially, in the sense of the money following the students, and obviously the money being taken away from the school district, and instead being applied to this charter school that it goes to. I actually, you know, there's a different perspective, right, that was just brought off as far as to going from a 3-year, why is it a 3-year? Why isn't it not a 2-year? Why isn't it a 1 year? My feelings are, and I could be totally wrong, that this could be eventually amended, maybe within the committee, and go down to a 2-year or 1 year. I also, Councilman Brady, I don't know why it waits a 3-year, but that's an excellent point. I also want to say that, you know, charter schools for certain cities and towns is extremely, extremely important for some of these parents, because they feel that they can't afford to send their kids to a private school. They cannot afford to provide a, you know, they don't have the means to provide the education. So for charter school, to some of the parents, you know, not only because whether it's performance or what they're hearing or what they're seeing or reading, but to some parents, they really feel that this is their ticket in providing their children the best education they can. I was blessed that in looking for a place to settle and call home, which is here in Cranston, I picked Cranston because of the public school system here in Cranston, and I'm extremely happy with the school. Yes, there's always going to be parents that are not happy because of they don't feel that the children's getting the best education. But I think, you know, that's why there's conversations. That's why there's the school committee members, and hopefully, you know, this is why we have the superintendent and everybody involved. And this is why I'm saying maybe there is room for improvement within both sides. And so, you know, we see it, I see it here in Edgewood. I see families who are sending their kids to elementary schools. Then they don't know if they want to send their kids to middle school here in Cranston. And some of them don't even send their kids to high schools. They send them to private schools, and they have the means for it and go for it, if that's the case. However, if they can do that and they want to do that, that's on them. Government shouldn't be telling them what they can do with their money and what schools they want the children to go. But the problem also is that it's also a lottery-based system, and it's not fair to the children that are here in the public school who don't have the opportunity to get selected to be part of the lottery either, right? So what do we do with the students who did not have the opportunity to be selected in the last 4 or 5 rounds? And by all means, I have to tell you all, it's public record. I worked for a charter school. I was the Dean of Operations for Blackstone Valley Prep School, which is the school that Councilman Brady just mentioned. And I have all the respect for the school there and the children and the family that went there. And I did all of my best right and efforts to do that and help out those families. But in my mind and in my heart, I'm also looking out for the children who did not go through the lottery process. We have children that are not in charter schools. We need to focus on improving those programs, to improving the education system, the curriculum, and working with the teachers, with the unions, with our school committee members to improve our schools. So why are families deciding to pull their children out and put them in private schools? We have to have those conversations. And I know those conversations have been done and have been said and have discussed, but it's not done yet. The funding formula, which was another point that one of the council members brought up, is extremely important. Last time I could be wrong on this, but I believe the funding formula last was looked at was about 10 years and we're long overdue right now. And so how are, I have a lot of questions as well, even on when it comes down to the funding formula in general, and how that could generally maybe even apply for some of the charter schools and the schools here, right? I'm curious as well how much money the city of Cranston is getting in from students out of the districts that are pouring into the city as well when they go to Cranston West Technical Schools, because I believe we have outside students that don't live in the city of Cranston, of which money is funneling in, and how much money is that and how many students are in here. Well, would we even be at loss for that? The moratorium, again, it could be 3 years. I don't know like I said, I really don't know the answer as to why it's a 3-year and not a 2 or a 1, and that could be amended. But I have to tell you that not only as a council person, but as a mother, we would all do what's best for our children. However, in Cranston, I'm extremely satisfied. Maybe there's a 1 or 2% out there whose parents and children and family just don't feel that they're getting what they deserve. So I still think we need to focus and we need to have a conversation as to, the district, what can we do? We have a career technical and vocational school that also does amazing, a hospitality within that vocational school that does great. And it continues to get exhibited out to the world. And I'm very proud of everyone.
Derek Tutt.
So as far as the moratorium goes, I will be, I'll be supporting
Join the meeting.
Moratorium tonight. I am totally down to be working with everyone, and whether it's on the school committee, the superintendent, and everyone, because we're also living in a COVID world. And so when we get ready to go over the budget within the next few months, we also need to figure out how COVID has been an impact on the school budget. And the school is going to come before us and request funds. And so we need to be very, very mindful of those dollars amount and the impact that is going to have, as noted in the resolution that Councilmember Donegan and Marina put in through on ours. So I'm in full support of this resolution, while at the same time keeping in mind, how we can continue to work on improving our performance here in Cranston. Again, I'm not saying that it's bad. I think there's always room for improvement everywhere. And if not, and if, I think there was someone who spoke this evening who said their children or she is all about making sure that, there's maybe a charter school that has to focuses on dyslexia. And I appreciate, your testimony this evening on that. but it's also our fiduciary duty as elected officials and to make sure we have those conversations within the community with the school department to find out ways how to improve our school and accommodate, which I know we accommodate a lot of the students and everyone. So again, I'm speaking a little bit too much on, I guess, on this and kind of sounding now redundant at this point, but I really look forward to hearing the General Assembly speak their points and figure and tell us, you know, what their thoughts are on this and how do we come up to a 3-year versus a 2-year, and eventually having that conversation on policies as well, and not just financial, on the funding formula as well, and figure out whether or not, you know, the impact that we're having in pockets of different cities and in the state are what are those concerns? So that's all for me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vargas. Councilmember Marino, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Just to the point of the good question of, you know, why 3 years? I don't know, you know, what the General Assembly's thoughts were on that, but I can tell you where I came from that point of view is I was thinking that they were looking at the fact that testing and performance is key to this discussion, and due to COVID, some testing has been put on pause and hasn't been initiated. So they're not going to get a true picture of the results of the performance of the students in the schools. And that may have been a piece of it in addition to perhaps the funding formula issue. But I know in my mind, that's why I thought you need at least more than a year to tackle this issue responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other discussion from council members? Councilmember Donegan.
To Councilman Brady's question that Councilwoman Marino just touched upon, that's also similar to or in addition to the answer that I was given was that given the circumstances of right now, they felt that 3 years would give them enough time to hopefully address all of these things: budgets, performance, evaluation, and the funding formula once we're out of, you know, this COVID period. And also, I just want to clarify that this legislation would not impact the Laborers Academy or the Career and Tech here in Cranston.
Thank you, Councilmember Donegan. Any other discussion from council members? Councilmember Renzulli.
Hi, I won't be long. I just want to echo the sentiments of Councilman Member Brady and Riley that I'm questioning the 3 years. I can't appreciate the answer that Councilwoman Marino just suggested, but I do think that the state does kind of move slow when they don't have to move fast. So maybe I hope that when this does go to the floor, that maybe it gets reduced to 2 years, if, you know, it's a compromise between 1 and 3. I will be supporting this resolution for that reason. I do think that, you know, we need to have more discussions on, you know, the pluses of charter schools and maybe bringing those into public schools, and what the public schools have that the charter schools don't. And they don't have a ton of transparency. And if they're taking money from taxpayers, but we don't know exactly what they're doing with it. But, you know, public schools have to be very transparent about their finances, and the school committee can't meet in private. You know, the public schools answer to the public and the charter schools answer to a board. So I think that we need to take that into consideration going forward. But I will support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Renzulli. Any other discussion from council members?
Through the chair, Council President, if I may.
Councilmember Vargas.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I'm going out of order, and the solicitor can please let me know if I am. I was curious if, and I can always connect to the superintendent at another time, but I was just curious in general. Is what dollar amounts are coming in from other municipalities that are of children who are going to the vocational, career and technical vocational school here in the city of Cranston.
That item's not on the docket.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. So I'll connect with the superintendent offline. Thank you, Solicitor. I was confirming that with you before I asked. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Thank you, solicitor. Any other questions or comments before I call the roll? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Resolution passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to reports of committees. We have the Finance Committee. I will turn the floor over to Council Vice President Edward Brady.
Thank you, Council President. Finance Committee on February 1st, 2021, I would like to entertain a motion on a resolution authorizing real estate abatements. There was a Scrivener's error on the first two tax abatements, but the links are correct. I would just like the clerk to please take note of that. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Clerk, please, is there any, do we need to take discussion, Council President?
Yep, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Council President, I think forgot me.
How would you like to vote?
No, I didn't hear my name.
Okay, sorry, Councilwoman Jermaine, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Councilmember Jermaine, are you a yes?
Yes, I'm a yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Council Vice President Brady, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Council President.
As a point of order, Mr. Vice President, Mr. President, you have the gavel. You call for the vote on the motions.
Thank you, sir. Moving forward, resolution authorizing motor vehicle tax abatements. Again, just wanted to note the Scrivener's error. I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the
Sorry.
motor vehicle tax abatements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Council Vice President Brady, you have one more to introduce.
Tax interest waiver approvals has passed the committee. I urge passage.
Okay, we have tax interest waiver approvals. I'll entertain a motion. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Ferry and a second from Councilmember Vargas. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay. That completes the Finance Committee. Thank you, Council Vice President Brady. Moving on to the Safety Services and Licensing Committee. Councilwoman Nicole Renzulli, Chair of Safety Services. The floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. So there was a Class B victualling liquor license looking for approval. It was over the cap, but it has been withdrawn. So I would just like to accept the correspondence in response to the withdrawal and make that part of the record.
Thank you, Council Chairman. Thank you, Chairman Zuli. I'll entertain a motion to accept the correspondence withdrawal and make this part of the record for Camp Nowhere. Need a motion to accept the withdrawal.
Motion move.
Second.
We have a motion and accepting and a second to accept the correspondence as a withdrawal. Do we have any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, we also have a Class B victualling liquor license. That's for LA Bailey's LLC, DBA LA Bailey's Cafe. This was passed in committee, and I do urge passage here. We are voting, we need a full council approval because we are over the cap.
Thank you, Chair Renzulli. I'll entertain a motion to approve on LA Bailey's.
Through the chair, Mr. President, if I may.
Yes,
Attorney Videcchio.
Solicitor Videcchio.
Just as a point of procedural information for the council and for you, charter requires in this instance a 2/3 approval by the council rather than a simple majority. I just wanted to make everyone aware of that.
Thank you for the reminder, Solicitor Videcchio. Okay, do we have a motion and a second on this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second under discussion. There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, that concludes the Safety Services and Licensing Committee portion of the docket. Thank you, Chairwoman Renzulli.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 4, public hearings. This is for non-docketed items. If there's anybody here from the public that would like to speak, now is your time.
Didn't someone, Gretchen, was there a Gretchen that wanted to speak? They're still on the call.
Gretchen, if you'd like to speak, you can unmute. Okay. Councilmember Donegan, I don't see anybody, so I'm going to close public hearing. Moving on to election and appointment of city officials. We have the Cranston Housing Commission. We have Jeffrey Barone, majority appointment, 3-year term, sponsored by Council President Paplaskas. This is informational only.
Join the meeting.
We also have Frank DeZoglio, majority member appointment, 2-year term, sponsored by Councilman Ferry and Riley. This is informational only. No vote will be taken. We have Annette Bourne, minority member appointment, 3-year term, sponsored by Councilman Donegan, informational only. No vote will be taken. We also have Amy Renone, minority member appointment, 2-year term, sponsored by Councilman Donegan, informational only. No vote will be taken. And we have Derek Tutt, full council appointment, 2-year term, sponsored by Councilwoman Renzulli and Council Vice President Brady. This does require a vote of the council. So I'll entertain a motion for Derek Tutt to approve to put on the Housing Commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Donegan and seconded by Councilmember Riley. Councilmember Donegan, I see your hands up.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to thank again colleagues from last term for approving this ordinance that I think a few of you sponsored or ended up sponsoring with me after introduction. And I want to thank Annette Bourne, who is being appointed by our caucus. She helped me write this ordinance to revive this body. And I look forward to partnering with them and working together to find policies and solutions to create better opportunities for safe and affordable housing for everyone, regardless of age, income, race, sexual identity, gender identity here in Cranston. Make sure that it's an affordable place for everyone and a safe place to live for everyone. And I also appreciate Mr. Tutt's name being put forward. I know that it'll be nice to have a representative from Ward 3 on the body, or an additional representative from Ward 3 on the body, and I'll be supporting his nomination.
Thank you, Councilmember Donegan. Any other discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Moving on to Board of Canvassers. This is a minority appointment. I will acknowledge Minority Leader Donegan for the recommendation.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to make sure that I get this procedurally correct. I will make a motion to appoint Kilsia Monrata to the Board of Canvassers effective March 2nd, 2021, to a term that shall expire on March 1st, 2027.
Correct.
Motion move.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Welcome. Moving on to the Traffic Safety Committee. We have 3 members that are being appointed. Just a reminder, every council member has an appointment to this committee. So if you haven't got yours in for this docket, make sure you submit it to the city clerk for the next docket for appointment to the Traffic Safety Committee. The appointees for this month are Matthew Volpe, sponsored by myself. Informational only, no vote will be taken. Next, we have Stephen Quartino, sponsored by Councilwoman Marino. This is informational only, no vote will be taken. And Ivy Swinsky, sponsored by Councilman Donegan. Informational only, no vote will be taken. That concludes that portion of the meeting. Moving on to report of city officers, we have none. Moving on to executive communications, I see none here. This is normally where we get the legal report, I believe. So I will ask the administration, Director Moretti, if we have that legal report.
As I requested twice, Anna Marino is to submit it to the clerk, and the clerk is to forward it as a common practice. I would ask the clerk if that's been done, please.
Madam Clerk, have we received the legal report?
I believe we have received it, but there was an issue regarding the distribution at this time because of possible redactions that may be needed. So I'll have to add that to the next docket.
Okay, can you confer with the solicitor tomorrow during business hours and see if we can get a copy of that email to us, or maybe put on the finance committee meeting so we don't have to wait until the next council meeting? Thank you. Moving on to Council President Communications. First, I'd like to send my sincere and deepest condolences to a mutual friend and family of many of us here on the council, the Bombardier family. They recently lost Amanda Bombardier, and I know my thoughts and prayers and deepest condolences go forth to the Bombardier family. Like I said, I know many of you here on the council know the Bombardier family. I just wanted to take a moment to send our sincere condolences to him and his entire family. I'd also like to recognize that this month we get to have some powerful discussion on Black History Month and also Women's History Month. And I really liked the slogan that Councilmember Germain said when she was talking earlier about choose to challenge. That really stuck with me. So I wrote that down, and that's definitely words to live by. So I appreciate you for sharing that with us. And that'll conclude Council President Communications. Moving on to Council Member Communications, Councilman Donegan.
Thank you, Council President. For anyone at home, what I have on here is landlord and snow removal. And the genesis of this comes from someone who reached out to Councilwoman Vargas, who then forwarded it on to me as it was in Ward 3, and we were working together to try and get it addressed. But more broadly, it's come up before where, there's a constituent who is a tenant. In this case, the individual was disabled and unable to clear their property. And the landlord, the property owner, essentially wasn't going to come and do that. They said, figure it out. So I guess on our end as a city, what, if anything, can we do? I'm sympathetic to the disabled individual in that situation. Obviously, if there's a contract involved that would apply, I guess I'm just wondering, either from the administration or from the solicitor, what role can the city play in that regard to make sure that, all of our sidewalks are cleared and safe. That way no one's violating city code. And whose responsibility would that ultimately come down on?
Great question, Councilmember Donegan. I don't know if Attorney Videcchia or.
I'm here. So, I mean, the way the question is phrased, I just want to make sure I understand, Councilman Donegan, exactly where you're coming from. If you're asking, it seems to be, it could be two different questions. Number one, assuming that we have a valid ordinance, are we responsible for enforcing it? Well, the answer to that obviously is yes. In terms of what private individuals may arrange between themselves by contract, that's a different issue. We do have, as I understand it, we do have an ordinance requiring businesses keep the sidewalks immediately adjacent to their place of business clear of snow. To my knowledge, I don't know that that's ever been tested in a court, because myself, speaking on my own behalf, I have some concerns with an ordinance or a law which imposes a duty on a private citizen to basically work for the city, work for the government, work for the sovereign. This is city-owned property, and we're passing a law, as do many municipalities, basically saying to a private citizen, you have to clear property which doesn't belong to you. We own it, but you're responsible for maintaining it. Myself, I have some concerns about that from a constitutional perspective. As I said, I don't know that it's ever been challenged. To my knowledge, it hasn't, and I don't know what would happen if it were challenged. But until it is an ordinance, it is on the books. Ultimately, it's like any other ordinance that we have for public safety. It is up to the city through code enforcement, through public works, whoever, to enforce the ordinance. So I don't know if that answers your question, but ultimately, as long as that ordinance is viable and it hasn't been challenged, the ultimate responsibility, as it's written, falls upon the city to enforce. I know in Providence, they issue violations pretty frequently over there, and because I've been the recipient of such a violation a few years back when it was first enacted. So ultimately, it's like any other ordinance that needs to be enforced. How that's done, well, that's up to the various departments and ultimately the city.
Thank you, Solicitor. I'll be honest, I never thought I'd say this, but you kind of started to sound like the late Bob Healy. I think he wrote a column in the Herald a few years back, putting forth that same argument. And I apologize, but that's all I could think of as you started to go about the constitutionality of that. But I appreciate the insight, and I'll look into it some more, and I'll connect with you offline.
Yeah, any help, any other information you need, or any research you'd like me to look into, you have my contact information. I'd be more than happy to assist you with that.
Councilmember Donegan, does that satisfy your communication?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to thank you for the late, great Lieutenant Governor candidate Bob Healy reference too.
Get him in whenever we can.
I would have never guessed we'd have a Bob Healy reference tonight. Thank you. Okay, moving on under council member communications, Council Vice President Brady.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to add this to the docket as a discussion point of, how do we safely get back into chambers and start having council, at least full council, in my opinion, back live, whether it's safely, at Cranston West Auditorium or back in chambers. I just think that personally, I can't relate with someone in passionate discussion as much as seeing them in person, so that's the reason I have it. I understand we're still in a pandemic, but it's important as a small business owner that I continue to keep advocating for ways to safely reopen our economy. I think through this pandemic, we have learned that Zoom has been a very effective tool for meetings. I think it's something we should certainly utilize moving forward, even if it's for committees and things of that nature, and just in life, as a discussion point. But as I was in City Hall this morning and looking at the continued precautions that they are taking, which I believe that they're obviously still having to take more with airflow and air ventilation and things of that nature in order to safely get us back in there. Obviously, there's a cost at that, so we have to be cognizant of that as we're going over this next budget. But it was also great to see the new substation, which I know has been, a good initiative of now Mayor Hopkins that he was talking about during his campaign season, and he's very, very proud to be launching that. And as I was talking to a few residents there, it was honestly really great to see their passion safely with their masks on, speaking about how they might not feel comfortable going to a police station, but being in City Hall for something else, just popping in to ask an officer a question, really put that into perspective to me. And as you're walking around City Hall and seeing the changes and improvements being made there, it just reminded me of how much I missed it, and in addition to that, I also wanted to thank, I know we just talked about snow removal. I think for our second or third snowstorm this season, watching our team work over 35 hours straight to clear the snow was a very effective job and very effective leadership. So I have to give, accommodations or appreciation to our Mayor Hopkins and their team for overseeing those snowstorms. But this is kind of out there for all of you. I'd love to have a discussion on, what other people's thoughts are, what your thoughts are about getting back into council chambers, maybe hearing from the administration about forecasting, just at least a plan, so that we can obviously all work towards growing together.
Thank you, Council Vice President Brady. I think one of the challenges before we get back in the chambers is fixing the internet connection, that connectivity issue that we've had there historically for years, to get that consistent internet router Wi-Fi connection. But I see Director Moretti just put his camera on, so I don't know if he has anything to add to Council Vice President Brady's question.
Yeah, no, sure. But inviting you back to City Hall, I know Mayor Hopkins would love to have the council back, obviously safely. I believe we can procure together with the council air purification systems. I don't think they could be too costly, and I think that maybe even qualify for some federal funding, something to keep in mind. I probably can arrange some pretty good social distancing. And yes, you're absolutely right. We have to make sure that the internet communications are intact, because obviously, even we'll recall during the inauguration, there was an issue, but we had backup systems. But yeah, if you'd like to, discuss it with us in terms of support, if anyone from the council wants to meet with us, the administration would be more than happy to have you back in.
I would love that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Moretti. Thank you, Council Vice President Brady. Councilmember Vargas, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you. It's not under the communication on the agenda. So again, to the solicitor, if this is not the right time and I have to add it to the next agenda, let me know. But it's really on to what Council Brady had mentioned on the snow, and so did Council Member Donegan. Last we had talked at one of the meetings, it was a reminder to all Cranston business owners and residents on the reminder to please clean their snow, the snow. And they have till, I think you have to wait 24 hours until when the snow stops. And so I brought this up at the Public Works Committee meeting. And I'm just curious as to whether or not the administration ended up sending some sort of reminder, because honestly, I'm getting a lot of phone calls with so many folks seeing kids walking on the street, adults, people who have a wheelchair. And so I really want to make sure that hopefully this was the last snow that we've seen for the winter. But I really want to make sure that the administration can, respectful request to send a reminder out or put something out if possible, to clear the snow. I think Director Moretti had mentioned they were going to be looking into that, and I'm just curious whether that was looked into already or any reminders being sent.
Yeah, we followed up on the locations that were referred to. Actually, police were there first thing in the morning, I think like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and they did not find a violation. Mayor Hopkins, particularly the last snowstorm, along with those complaints or concerns, there's also the issue on-street parking during parking bans. And as with sidewalks and parking, we're trying to get the word out about removing the vehicles to be, tagged or towed. I believe that Mayor Hopkins may have even sent a message to each of you or several people. But it is a difficult one in how to enforce it selectively. Obviously, to do a citywide campaign is going to be quite a crackdown. If that's the recommendation of the council, I could be happy to carry it back. Or if you want to continue to do it on an isolated basis, it is a very difficult. It doesn't seem to be an easy answer, other than the old-fashioned way where there's a particular issue, complaint, or concern that it's followed up, and certainly just notification. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't heed that advice. So we don't have the real answer. Other than a tremendous enforcement effort in terms of equity. And so we're at this point deferring to the specific concerns and complaints.
Council President, if I can real quickly.
Yes, and then if we have any other discussion on this, I recommend sending this to committee just so we stay on course on the agenda.
I'll definitely going to, if the clerk can please take note to add this to the agenda. Hopefully, again, we've seen the last final snow days, but fingers crossed, absolutely. And no disrespect, Mr. Moretti whatsoever, but obviously this Public Works meeting came up back on February 11th, and the snow was already melting by then. So when somebody went back out, there probably wasn't really much snow to really look at that point until later on. My hopes is not to have this being a fiscal impact on the city, but very much how the mayor is able to do a lot of videos that he's been doing lately. I know Mayor Fung had an email communication as well. And I think the economics that he would send out, and it was, I think the Economic Development Office also had some sort of an email where they had a couple of, or not a couple, but they had businesses that were part of an email distribution. And so I'm just finding ways that perhaps we can find avenues to just send reminders out on that end. So again, not trying to put a fiscal impact, and I know it's very hard. It's really also very hard to keep track and narrow down and send people out all over the entire city. But again, I just wanted to make sure that if we have some of the sources of social media platforms to remind people, send friendly reminders, that might be a great avenue. So thank you again for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Vargas and Director Moretti. Any other council member communications? There being none, I will close council member communications. Council business matters to be carried over. Just to note, this new headline here is taking the place of old business. There is none. Before we do the introduction of new business and start to wrap up this meeting, Gretchen, I see your hand up. We called on you during public comment and I closed public comment.
I lost my screen. I could see you all, but I was in a settings screen and couldn't get out.
I will briefly open public comment if there's no objections. Are there any objections from the council? There being none, just try and keep your comments brief. The floor is yours. Name and address for the record.
Oh, name and address. Gretchen Bingle, B-I-N-G-L-E. Address is 27 Perennial Drive in Cranston. And first off, I did not attend last month's meeting, but I did want to, since I have the floor, take the opportunity to congratulate you all on being elected to the council. It's nice to see familiar faces. It's also very nice, as has been talked about tonight, to see some new faces. And we have a lot of things to do over the coming year, and I would like to also just say a personal thing. It's been very nice this evening to hear everybody being respectful and showing professionalism and all of that with all of the discussions, as we're going to have a lot of, I'm sure, hot issues that will come up over the next term that you're there. So thank you for keeping that level of decorum that we've had with the past council. So my question or my comments are just a couple. One is that just came up with the Zoom. I love this Zoom. I think that even once we're back in chambers, since Councilman Brady brought it up, that I'd like to see it continue in some form or fashion, because I think it gives access to everybody and a lot more people than those who, there's so many people not willing to take the trip down to City Hall, especially during the winter months when it's cold and dark. I do like being able to do this on Zoom. If I'm not talking, I actually do stream it on my TV. So that's something to keep in mind. My main question, which I had sent a note to you earlier, Mr. President, was just a concern about the docket and how it's being formatted. And I didn't know if the change that was made tonight to allow comments on docketed matters is going to stay, or are we only going to be able to comment on docketed matters after they're voted on. I just wanted to ask a quick question about that. And while I'm asking that, I did also want to say, I did notice some changes here, that there are little notes on what will be voted on, what won't be voted on. And I find that extremely helpful. So just thank you for that change. So my one issue was just a question, and if it can't be answered now, that's fine, but just wanted to put my 2 cents in to keep a public hearings for docketed matters before the docketed matters. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen. Typically, public comment isn't a question and the answer session, but I'll briefly just say to you that public comment will not be stifled. The docket's a work in progress. We're trying to make it as informational as possible. So I don't foresee public comment going anywhere. So I wanted to put that out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Susanna Arena, I see your hand up again. Did you have another comment to make?
I do. It's pertaining to the snow and the snow ordinance. If I could speak to that, or if you want me to wait, I'll wait.
No, if you want, counsel, solicitor Angel, do I hear?
There is no snow ordinance pending.
No, it's regard to what Councilman Dunnigan was just talking about, and the same problem that we have in Ward 2 and across the whole across Cranston. But I wanted to bring up the ordinance, and you said that, or somebody had said that the codes could be the person that does the codes, the city codes inspections could be the person to go and do the fines. There already is something in place. I was just going to speak to that. I've been speaking about this since 2009. So do we have a plan? Well, I have a plan. Do you want to hear it? You let me know what time I can talk.
Well, we closed public hearings earlier, Miss.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought that was only on docketed items.
I have a suggestion. Would you mind coming to a Public Works Committee meeting, or sending us an email and starting the discussion that way? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine. The police are the ones that go out and do any kind of response.
Yeah, I would suggest pop into the Public Works Committee meeting. I think that's already going to be on the docket anyways.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Discussion on that. Thank you, Ms. Arena. That being said, I will close public comment again. Moving on, we have introduction of new matters before the council, and there are some Scrivener's errors on here that I'm briefly going to go over before we take a motion to send these matters to the proper committees. The first one is on advising consent of appointment of James Warren as fire chief. The date on that is March 1st, not March 11th.
The President?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. That is was referred to as special. You had said a special finance committee meeting on March 11th.
Okay, so that is correct then.
That is correct.
I stand corrected. Okay, moving on. Madam Clerk, then you can let me know about these. The resolutions that are referred to a finance committee on March 11th. Is that a special meeting as well?
No, those should go to the March 1st.
Okay.
Regular finance.
There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 resolutions. They're all in an order on here. They're all loan order authorizing the city of Cranston going to the finance committee meetings. Those should all read referred to finance committee March 1st, 2021. And I think that completes the Scrivener's errors for new business. Is that correct, Solicitor Angel?
Just checking. I believe so.
So I will entertain a motion to send all of the new matters before the council to the proper committees.
A point of order, Council President, if I may,
Yes.
just with respect to our recusal for forwarding to Public Works Committee, the National Grid request of pole location on Natick Avenue. Out of an abundance of caution, I filed a recusal for conflict of interest due to the pending litigation with respect to the Cranston development project on appeal that I'm a litigant to. Thank you.
You are correct. Thanks for reminding me. So I will entertain a motion to send all of the new business to the proper committees, minus the request from National Grid for pole locations at Natick Avenue.
Moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Sherry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes, sorry.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to send to the Public Works Committee the request for National Grid pole location in Natick Avenue for March 11th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Second, please note Councilmember Marino's recusal. And clerk, any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Ferry,
Councilman Ferry, yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, everything is being sent to new business, sent to committees. Moving on to miscellaneous business on the clerk's desk, there are none. There is one last matter. We have an executive session closed per Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-4. So I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session perspective per Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A2 and investigative proceedings regarding allegations of civil misconduct per Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A4. Is that correct, Solicitor Angel?
That's correct.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, we are now in executive session. We just need a couple of minutes for the host to get the room set up.
Could somebody double check? I believe-
Can you turn off the live YouTube stream?
Oh, yeah.
Is that possible?